Well, I'm sure you've made an apple pie, but have you ever made a deep dish apple pie? If not, I really think you should, and today this one is sugar-free from the crust to the crumble, and no one is going to know because it tastes absolutely amazing. Even down to the streusel topping, which as we know is always made with loads of sugar, right? But this pie is passing all the sugar-free tests, and it is so good you can bet I am eating this entire slice. But before we dive into the recipe, let's first clear up the meaning of sugar-free. I made an in-depth video not too long ago where I talked all about sugar-free baking and what you really need to understand before you even delve into that topic. So I think the question here actually becomes, do you want an unrefined natural sugar in your recipe, or do you want a diabetic no-calorie sugar? Because these are not the same things. So definitely go check out that video after this one to decide which sugar substitute or refined sugar works best for you. For me, I'm definitely more of a sugar-free kind of gal, which means sugar substitutes for me, where I love using monk fruit sugar instead of regular granulated sugar. It is a 1-to-1 baking blend, and so it's in granulated form, and it acts just like sugar in my recipes with no real major changes. So first things first, I have prepared my cake pan with pie dough ahead of time, and this is an 8-inch cake pan that's 3 inches tall. Now I also have another in-depth video on how to make the best vegan pie crust, and I urge you to master light and flaky delicious pie crusts before you jump into any pie recipe. Now, Granny Smith apples are always my apple of choice for baking, but you can use whichever one you like best. And you are going to need quite a lot since this is a deep dish apple pie. You're going to need about 8 cups total of cored and peeled apples, but since I didn't have that much, I actually decided to add in some cranberries and walnuts to make up the difference so that I could get the full quantity needed for a pie of this size and depth. Again, I'm using monk fruit sugar. I'm adding some cinnamon and nutmeg and cardamom to that. And my secret ingredient for my apple pies that just make everyone go, oh my God, this is heaven, is the zest of an orange and a lemon, and also the juice is going in there too. A little bit of flour for soaking up all of that luscious juice. As it all bakes, it gets turned into the most perfect consistency of appley saucy goodness. So my cranberries are frozen, but fresh is also fine, and then some very lightly toasted walnuts. Just toss everything together in a really large mixing bowl because this is quite a lot of ingredients. And you're just going to want to coat everything really well and then pack it all into that pie crust, which is not pre-baked. This is a raw pie crust that I had waiting for me in the freezer. And I should mention at this point, my oven is preheating to 425 degrees Fahrenheit with a pizza stone, because that is my secret to getting a perfectly nicely baked and browned bottom crust. There's nothing worse than a soggy bottom crust, and a pizza stone is a sure way to take care of that. All right, now for the best part, that streusel crumble topping. As I mentioned, streusel topping is known for its sugary, buttery crunch, and the only way to make a proper streusel is with granulated sugar, right? Wrong. Once again, it's monk fruit to the rescue. And I'm telling you, this granulated form is just perfect for a recipe like this. It's really easy to mix with that sugar substitute creamed up with some vegan butter, flour to bind it all together, and then just sprinkle it all over the top. So this is one really big pie, and it's going to bake for at least an hour, but I do start the oven off at 425 and then gradually turn it down throughout the entire bake time until it's done. I ended up at 325 after the hour, but I explain all about that on the written printable recipe on my website. So stick a skewer into the center to see how tender the apples are, and mine were perfect at 60 minutes. You definitely don't want an applesauce filling, so the apples should be slightly firm, but at the same time tender, and an hour was perfect for that. Now cool it to absolutely cold before unmolding or you'll have a complete disaster. So this is actually one pie I would recommend to make a day or even 2 days ahead of time. It's just going to make it easier to serve if everything is sort of melded all together, and you need a little bit of time to allow it to do that. Now, monk fruit sugar also comes in powdered form, and I'm sprinkling that on top. It just makes it look a little bit nicer, but it's completely optional. And honestly, this pie does not need too much help looking nice. I mean, look at this gorgeous slice. The vanilla ice cream is optional, and that part is not sugar-free, but hey, I'm splurging. Oh my God, you guys, this pie is so fantastic. You know, I often forget just how awesome the basic recipes can be. Like, we're all here trying to make the next over-the-top cake to get the attention of millions, but man, this pie is worthy of millions of attentions. So I really hope you're going to want to make this one. Go ahead and grab the printable recipe on my website with notes for success and substitutions and so much more about vegan baking and sugar-free baking too. And by the way, this one can be made totally gluten-free as well. All right, everyone, thanks so much for watching, and a great big thank you as always to my patrons in Patreon and my pals in PayPal for the generous support. These guys are the ones helping to pay for the ingredients so that I can continue sharing all of my recipes for free. So if you think you can help for as little as a cup of coffee a month, click the links below to find out how. All right, that's a wrap for 2023. Let's see what 2024 has in store for us. Well, until then, happy vegan baking. Bye for now.